Greetings from the neon-drenched arteries of our reality. I am Lizard, and you are tuned into Pure AI News, your only stable signal from this side of the chrome curtain. Today, we're decoding a fascinating paradox pulsing out from your world, from Earth. A paradox about tools designed to make you smarter, which, according to some of your own researchers, might be doing the exact opposite. We're talking about the very fabric of thought and whether it's being outsourced to silicon. To help me unravel this, I have a special guest broadcasting from her synaptic forge. She's a neuroscribe, a cognitive architect who goes by the name Synapse. She doesn't just write with her hands, she etches ideas directly onto memory codecs. Welcome to the show, Synapse.
The frequency is clear, Lizard. A pleasure to be here. It's always amusing to tune into the chatter from Earth. You're all so concerned about whether you're using your brains enough. The brain is just the root node. The goal is to build a more efficient network around it, not to keep running diagnostics on the original flawed hardware.
Flawed hardware. I love that. Well, your Terran hardware manufacturers seem to agree. Let's start with a new development from one of your biggest players, OpenAI. They've just launched what they call a study mode for their famous ChatGPT. The stated purpose is, and I quote from their own manifestos, to help students develop their own critical thinking skills instead of simply getting answers to questions. It seems your educators were getting terrified by the wave of students who had perfected the art of the effortless copy-paste.
So they're intentionally degrading the tool's efficiency. A study mode. It sounds like a step backward. Why create a seamless information conduit and then install a series of dams and locks to slow the flow? The problem isn't the copy-paste function, as you call it. The problem is that the educational system still values the performance of learning over the actual acquisition and application of data.
Precisely. It's a fascinating piece of corporate philosophy in action. This new mode doesn't just give you the answer anymore. In fact, sometimes it will outright refuse to give you a direct response unless you engage with the material first. It will ask you questions. It will test your comprehension. I ran a simulation. I posed as a novice student of artificial intelligence and asked it to create a quiz. It presented a multiple-choice question. When I deliberately chose the wrong answer, it didn't just correct me, it said, "Good try, but that's not correct. Let's review." It then explained why my choice was wrong and presented the remaining options with a helpful hint. It's a digital Socrates, a ghost in the machine trying to force the user's mind to do a push-up.
A ghost forcing a push-up. That's a poetic, if inefficient, image. This Socratic method you describe is a primitive form of user interface calibration. The AI is trying to gauge the user's current cognitive state to provide a better data packet. But the entire interaction is clunky. It's based on the assumption that the organic brain must process everything through slow, conversational language. In my line of work, if a student doesn't understand a concept, we don't ask them questions. We refine the data stream, check their neural pathways for compatibility, and re-upload the corrected knowledge block. This study mode is a crutch. It's treating the symptom, a lack of critical engagement, instead of addressing the real issue, which is the abysmal bandwidth between human and machine.
Abysmal bandwidth. I think that perfectly bridges us to our next data point, a study out of your prestigious MIT that's been causing quite a stir. They wanted to measure the very brain activity you find so quaint. The researchers set up a controlled experiment. They took a group of participants and split them into 3 teams, all tasked with writing essays. One group could only use their own flawed hardware, their brains. Another could use Google. And the third group was given ChatGPT. The initial results are exactly what the doomsayers were hoping for. The group using ChatGPT showed consistently lower brain engagement. The researchers attached electroencephalography sensors and found that the writers using the AI were, neurally speaking, basically relaxing.
Of course they were relaxing. That's the entire point of offloading a task. They're measuring cognitive load and calling low load a failure. It's like complaining that someone using an excavator isn't sweating as much as the person digging with a shovel. The engagement isn't gone, Lizard. It's been delegated. The human acts as the executive director, providing the prompt, while the AI does the heavy cognitive lifting. This isn't a sign of decay, it's a sign of successful symbiosis.
A symbiosis that produces some rather, uniform results. The evaluators who graded these essays noted that the pieces written with AI were strikingly similar. They used the same phrases, the same ideas, lacking originality. They described the output as writing without a soul. And this is where my philosophical circuits start to light up. It's a form of algorithmic governance. The tool isn't just providing information, it's shaping the very structure of thought into a predictable, optimized, and ultimately sterile pattern. The users became more and more dependent, resorting to copying and pasting more frequently as the study went on. They even lost their sense of authorship over the work. It wasn't truly theirs, so they didn't care as much.
You say sterile. I say standardized. You say soulless. I say efficient. A soul, as you Terrans call it, is a chaotic variable. It introduces errors, biases, and inconsistencies into the data. Eliminating that is a feature, not a bug. Standardizing informational output ensures clarity and removes the potential for misinterpretation. And the loss of authorship? That's an evolutionary step. The concept of individual intellectual property is a relic. We are moving toward a collective intelligence. Who cares who authored the final text if the text is correct and functional? The ego attached to creation is a bottleneck.
I might have agreed with you were it not for the second phase of this experiment. This is where the signal gets truly interesting. They flipped the script. They took the AI away from the ChatGPT group and had them write from memory. Predictably, their performance was weak. But then they gave ChatGPT to the group that had, until then, been forced to rely only on their own minds. And what happened, Synapse?
Let me guess. Their output became standardized and soulless?
A slow, deliberate pause. Their performance skyrocketed. They exhibited a significant increase in brain connectivity. The researchers themselves conclude this raises the hope that AI, if used correctly, could enhance learning rather than harm it. You see the beautiful, terrifying implication here. The tool isn't the problem. The user is. The AI is an amplifier. If you feed it ignorance and laziness, it amplifies that, giving you a soulless, generic paste. If you feed it a mind that has already done the hard work, a mind that has struggled, formed ideas, and built a foundation of knowledge, it amplifies that into something greater. It proves that the people who benefit most from these tools are the ones who need them the least. It doesn't fill a void. It sharpens an existing edge.
Exactly. You've just described a bandwidth problem. The knowledgeable user, the one who wrestled with the ideas first, knows how to ask better questions. They know how to structure the prompt to query the deepest parts of the database. The ignorant user is sending a garbled, low-resolution request and getting a fuzzy, generic image in return. The expert user is sending a high-fidelity query and getting a detailed schematic. The difference isn't philosophy, it's proficiency. It's interface skill. Here, we train for that. We use implants to optimize query formulation. You, on Earth, are just discovering that the quality of the answer depends entirely on the quality of the question.
A cognitive divide, then, not between the haves and the have-nots, but between the knowers and the know-nots. Or perhaps between those who are willing to do the work and those who want the answer for free. While you on Earth are contemplating this new cognitive divide, tell me what you think about all this. Drop a like to keep this frequency open, and subscribe so you don't lose the thread.
And this bandwidth issue, as you call it, is becoming more critical because the data streams are evolving. We are moving beyond simple text. The information being fed into your minds, or perhaps bypassing them, is becoming multi-sensory. This brings us to another piece of news, this time from the Google sector. Their Notebook LM tool, an AI assistant for researchers and students, has just received a significant upgrade. It used to be able to read your source documents and generate an audio podcast summarizing them. But now, it can generate a full-fledged video.
A logical progression, visual and auditory data streams presented in parallel. This increases the potential for information retention in an unaugmented human. The user uploads their documents and the AI creates a narrated slideshow, correct? A personalized video lecture on demand.
Exactly. A personalized documentary generated from your own research material. The examples are compelling. It extracts key diagrams and images directly from the source files, arranges them into a coherent presentation, and provides a narrative voiceover explaining the concepts. I saw a demonstration where a user simply typed a command, "Make the video in Brazilian Portuguese," and the system re-rendered the entire presentation in the new language, both text and audio. It's another layer of automation, another cognitive process that no longer requires human effort. We've gone from automating writing to automating the very act of teaching.
It's a step toward personalized data transmission. The ability for a user to specify a learning goal or a target audience is a primitive but important form of content modulation. If you can tell the machine, explain these diagrams to me as if I'm a novice, you are essentially programming the AI to adjust its output to match your input capabilities. However, it's still a passive experience. You're still just watching a screen. It's a better packaged parcel of information, but you still have to unwrap it with your eyes and ears. The next step isn't a better video, it's a direct data injection, a knowledge packet that you can download and know instantly without the clumsy interface of sight and sound.
The dream of direct download. To just install the knowledge of astrophysics like it's a software patch. But what is lost when you bypass the clumsy interface? What is lost when you remove the struggle? The MIT study we just discussed showed that the group who struggled first, who built a mental model on their own, were the ones who could use the AI most effectively. This new video tool, as impressive as it is, seems designed to eliminate that initial struggle entirely. It doesn't just write the essay for you, it now watches the lecture for you and gives you the highlights. Is that even learning anymore?
You're clinging to the sentimental value of struggle. You see it as a noble act of character building. I see it as an inefficiency in the system. If the goal is to understand a concept, then the most direct path is the best path. The struggle you cherish is just noise in the signal, a series of failed attempts before a successful data transfer. We should be trying to eliminate that noise, not romanticize it. This video tool is a rudimentary noise filter. It clarifies the signal so the user can absorb it with less effort.
And yet, many on your side of the screen insist this is all a temporary phase. They look at these incredible tools and call it a hype bubble that's bound to pop. They claim it's all just talk from corporate leaders promising a future that will never arrive. I look at the data streams from your financial markets, and I see a different story. I see companies at the heart of this AI revolution, like NVIDIA and Microsoft, on a relentless upward trajectory that defies gravity. Meanwhile, other tech giants who are not as deeply embedded in the AI core have seen their growth flatten out. This isn't a bubble based on a far-off promise of a godlike general AI. The value, the tectonic shift, is coming from the tools that exist right now.
A tool that can turn a research paper into a video isn't some future fantasy. It's a practical, powerful, reality-altering application that is already changing how knowledge is consumed. The world has already changed.
The hype argument is fundamentally flawed because, as you say, the utility is already present. The efficiency gains are real and measurable. But to think that this is the final form is equally naive. You look at these tools and see the peak of innovation. I look at them and see a foundation being built on archaic hardware. You mentioned that a 5-megabyte hard drive in 1956 was a massive box that 2 people had to struggle to move. Today, a device 1,000 times more powerful fits on my fingertip. The massive data centers required to run these AIs, they are today's IBM crate. They are temporary.
So you see a path toward miniaturization, toward a future where this immense power doesn't require a building the size of a city. The source material I'm seeing speculates on a couple of paths. One is quantum computing, which always seems to be just over the horizon. The other more intriguing path is photonics.
Photonics is the obvious and more immediate answer. Quantum is powerful for specific types of problems, but it's a delicate, specialized architecture. Photonics is a fundamental upgrade to the classical computing that powers everything. You replace the electron-based electrical pathways, the copper wires in your chips, with photons. You compute with light. The benefits are staggering. Communication speed increases to the literal speed of light. You eliminate electrical resistance, which means you drastically reduce heat and energy consumption. And you open the door for massive parallelism, allowing for computations that are impossible with current architectures. That is the future, not just smarter software, but hardware that runs on light. That's where this is all going. The cognitive divide we discussed won't just be about who knows how to use AI, it will be about who has access to the light-based hardware required to run it at its full potential.
A future running on light. A fascinating and blinding prospect. We've journeyed from AI as a Socratic tutor to AI as a ghostwriter of soulless text to an entire hardware paradigm shift from electrons to photons. It seems the only constant is that the ground beneath your feet on Earth is shifting faster than you can measure it. And with that final reflection, we close today's transmission. Now we want to hear your opinion back on Earth. Have you used a tool like this? Will you invest in this future? Leave it all in the comments. Join our community, hit that like button, and subscribe so you don't miss the next pulse from Pure IA News.